Hello, this is Nick from Breaker Press Games, and today I want to talk about DCC RPG and the dice chain. Alright, before I get too far into it, I do want to address, you'll probably notice that I have a black eye. I went to a punk show this weekend, and I was watching Flailing Fists off to my right-hand side, not paying attention to the stage diver coming from my left, and I took a boot to the eye. I'm just living my best life. So, that being said, let's talk about the dice chain. Now, if you are coming to DCC RPG from D&D, you are already familiar with polyhedral dice. A standard polyhedral set has a D4, a D6, a D8, two different types of D10s, making your percentile dice a D12 and a D20. The weird dice set, the dice chain, is 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 20, 24, and 30. So that's a lot of additional dice, but it gives your GM or judge greater flexibility, and they can do lots of cool, fun stuff with it, and that's going to be fun for you, the player. So, what can you do with the dice chain? Well, number one, first and foremost, when it is listed in the rules, if you're modifying the dice chain, it will say plus 1d for an improved die or minus 1d for a reduced die. And what does this mean? Let's say a warrior wants to strike with a weapon in their offhand, and the judge might decide, all right, if you want to strike with your offhand, you're going to do a reduced die of minus 2d. So that means that instead of rolling a d20, they're going to roll a d14 in order to roll to hit. And that's much more elegant, in my opinion, than being like, all right, so roll a d20, but do a minus 4 modifier on the attack roll. So it gives the GM flexibility in that way. But let's say that same warrior climbs to the top of a bluff, and they're hiding behind a rock, and they're waiting for a monster to turn their back so they can dive on the back and do a stabbing attack. Then the judge can be like, all right, that sounds awesome. Roll a d24. And so for the player, it's going to feel epic, because this big chunky D24 right here, it's got additional sides, it feels bigger, it feels better, and additionally, they're going to have 2 opportunities to crit. Why 2 opportunities to crit? Well, when you're rolling an improved die of a D24 or D30, on a D24 you crit on a natural 20 or a natural 24. If you're rolling a D30, you crit on a natural 20, 24, or 30. So this also creates more opportunities in order to crit on your attacks. So your players, they're going to love that. So that being said, more dice is more fun. One of the things that I found when I first got introduced to the weird dice was a sensation that I felt when I first discovered D&D in the first place. So, flashback to me being 8 years old and only ever having played a game that used D6s. And suddenly, somebody pushes all of this strange little pyramid dice that was a D4, and the D8, and then, of course, the D20. All of these dice are pushed into your hands, and you're like, oh, this is awesome. This feels so strange. I've never seen anything like this before. And you get to experience that all over again when you are introduced to DCC and the dice chain, and you're rolling a D5 or a D7 or a D30. It creates a new and novel experience, and your brain just takes to it. So yeah, I think it's fantastic. Now, before I get into some of the dice that are available, I do want to do a little sales pitchy thing right here. Coming up at the end of February as part of Zine Quest, I will be doing a new Kickstarter for something called Desperation of the Hungry. It will be a 16 to 20 page zine that is a cool encounter that takes place in the town of Stennard that involves rescuing dogs. It's cool. So, that being said, let's talk about dice that are available on the market. So, Goodman Games, a number of their dice are manufactured by Impact Dice. They come in all sorts of different colors. Here is, if you've got that cool 80s nostalgia, here is a glow-in-the-dark die. Of course, you've got your solids, and then you can get your themed dice. This particular set had some sort of kind of fireball-y theme, and I was at the time working on an adventure called the Furnace Tower, and I was like, yeah, while I'm running this adventure, I have to have these dice. Why? Because we all love dice. We're gamers. We love dice. That being said, they come in these cool tubes oftentimes, and the official DCC ones will have a monster. So this cool monster on the front. The stats for the monster. Oh. No! Yes! The stats for the monster are right here. So, that being said, it's a cool little feature about these dice. So, did I cover everything? I covered the sizes, I covered the modifiers, I covered the nostalgia, improved die and reduced die, and I covered crits. I think I covered it all. The dice chain, I just think it's super cool. It adds more flavor, something a little unique and different to DCC RPG. It is not the only feature of DCC RPG that I think is awesome, but it is one of the cool ones. So that being said, yeah. If you like this video, check out my video 10 tips for running a successful open table campaign. I will link it somewhere up here. Thank you for supporting indie games and indie game designers. Go check out that video, and I will catch you next time.